Welcome aboard, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we're going to be talking about how to improve your recoil control, and we're going to break it down to both horizontal and vertical recoil control. So if your aim looks something like this, but you want to get that recoil looking like this,
Fully dropping it.
There's two of them, at least two.
then this is going to be the video for you. If you're new to my channel and you're looking for the best Call of Duty Warzone tips on loadouts, strategies, and settings, then make sure to hit that subscribe button. The idea of this video was actually because of one of my viewers commented and asked how to better control horizontal recoil. So I'm going to cover recoil in general, along with focusing on horizontal recoil specifically. So when you break it down to both horizontal and vertical recoil, most people struggle a lot more with horizontal recoil. Vertical recoil is simply pulling down on your mouse or your thumbstick, whereas horizontal is a lot less predictable and just usually strange for someone to control. So I'm going to have some routines that you can practice specifically on training horizontal recoil, and we're going to do some to help with vertical and recoil in general. Now, this method works best if you do own Modern Warfare multiplayer so that we have access to private match. You could do this through Cold War as well, or you could do this if you only own Warzone in like Plunder or something, but you're going to get the most amount of repetitions and the best practice if you're doing this in the Modern Warfare private match. All right, so let's go ahead and load up a private match here. So go to custom game and then make sure to put it for free for all. I have a custom saved mode called Sniper Warmup, but basically the important modes you're going to want to set is free for all. We're going to want to make sure we have our bots the max level to 11. And then I would just put them on difficulty recruit because we just want to focus on shooting and not really worried about getting shot back at. I would go for a bigger map than Hackney Yard. Usually like Euphrates Bridge or Grozny Raid are pretty decent ones because they're more open maps. And then the other very important thing we're going to set up is for health. We're going to make sure this health is on 300. And you can keep regeneration to fast, and that's really the big stuff. I have like UAV turned on and stuff like that, but that's not super important. And then before we load into the match, we're going to make sure we need to have 2 loadouts set up. All right, so let's go ahead and set up those loadouts. So the first one is going to be the RAM, and what we're going to do is we're not going to put any attachments that help with recoil. So I would do your usual monolithic suppressor. We're going to skip the barrel and under barrel. Make sure you put the largest ammo on, put whatever your choice of optic is. I'll just go with the GI Mini, and then we can throw sleight of hand on there just for convenience for game. So we're not going to put an under barrel on, and we're definitely not going to put the FFSS Ranger. We could go ahead and throw the Forge Tech Eclipse because it does not affect your recoil control. Okay. And then we're going to do the same thing with the M13. So the reason we're doing these 2 guns is the RAM has the most leftward horizontal recoil. The M13 has the most right horizontal recoil. So unfortunately, we can't practice both left and right at the same time. We would have to switch guns. And you could make an overkill class if you want to. That probably would be better actually. But for the sake of this, I'm just going to make separate ones. So same thing with the M13. We'll do the monolithic. We'll do... we're going to do the larger mag, the 60, and we'll do the same thing, GI Mini. You could do the VLK or whatever you prefer, and then I'll throw a sleight of hand on here also just for convenience. All right, and then we're also, before we start, we're going to set up an AMAX recoil class. The reason we're doing the AMAX is the AMAX of the Modern Warfare guns has pretty much the most vertical recoil. It has very little horizontal recoil though, so larger mags, throw a sight on there. And like I said, you can do any sight you want. I'm just doing GI Mini because I like that one. And we'll have sight of hand on there for convenience. If you want to put, a grip and a stock on there, you can. Just the important thing is to not put attachments on there that are going to help with recoil. Then we'll go ahead and start the game up. All right, so now that we're in the game, let me show you what the recoil looks like with the RAM with no attachments. So as you can see, very leftward diagonal recoil. Now if we look at the M13, it's going to be pretty much the opposite. Not quite as much of a horizontal recoil as the RAM, but still same idea, does kick to the right pretty hard. All right, and then now we're going to look at the AMAX. So this is going to have a lot of vertical. So as you can see, pretty much no horizontal, but a lot of vertical. So basically what we're doing here is we're making it so we have to practice with more recoil than we typically would. So I'm having to move my mouse a lot more than I normally would to control that recoil. And it's the exact same concept with a controller as well. So then we can switch over to the M13 for the right directional horizontal recoil. Now, it's important to know what your main gun is. So what I'd recommend is take a look at the recoil pattern of what the gun you prefer to use. And you can do that simply by, shooting a clip into a wall or whatever, and then looking at the recoil pattern. Look to see, does it veer left, does it veer right? The M4A1, for example, veers slightly right, the Grau veers slightly right, the Kilo goes left. When you talk about Cold War guns, obviously we cannot test Cold War guns in here, so you could do the same concept in Cold War private match. However, the issue with that is a lot of the recoil patterns are not exactly the same when it comes from Warzone to Cold War. So, and then since we have the health at 300, this is going to really help work on your aiming and help keeping your tracking on target. You really have to have good recoil control here. Keep your reticle on the enemy as much as you can. And basically, once we do this for, you can spend 5-10 minutes per gun, whatever you want to do. And the more you spend, so basically the more time we spend on this per gun, the more you're going to feel comfortable controlling that left or right-sided horizontal recoil. And then we can switch over to the AMAX and work on our vertical recoil, as this gun has the most vertical recoil. And it's good to try to sit in an open area, that way you can work on longer range kills. Grouse and Raid may not be the best. Another map that might be better would be like Euphrates Bridge. Really work on these long distance ones though, because that's where you're really gonna have to focus on that recoil control. Because if you can hit these shots at these longer ranges with worse recoil than you typically would, it's going to make, when you put on the real gun, the real attachment, it's going to make it that much easier to control that recoil. So then once you've done that for a while, what you can do is you can throw on your normal attachments for that gun if you're using one of these guns. Or, let's say you're using something completely different. Looks like I don't have that very many guns set up in here, but if you're using, like the M4 or the Kilo, whatever it may be, then put that gun on with its correct attachments, and it's going to make that recoil seem way less, and you're going to feel way more confident controlling that recoil. And then if you'd like, you can take this same concept into a game. You can drop into like a plunder game, take whatever your gun you like to use, take off those recoil attachments, and practice for a few games with worse recoil. When you put them back on, it's going to make that recoil seem like so much less, and you're going to feel way more confident controlling that recoil. And guys, this routine is great for just practicing your aim in general, especially since we're putting the bots on 300 health. You really have to focus on your aim and keeping that centered for a while. I definitely recommend make sure you have munitions boxes on your class, so that makes it a little bit easier. And then another thing I forgot to turn on for settings was you can turn on start with max ammo, and that does help things a lot. I also have the scavenger perk on. And then if you happen to not have the Modern Warfare multiplayer, or you want to practice with Cold War guns specifically, like the FFAR or something, one thing you could do is you go into Plunder or whatever. You can spray paint a target or spray paint literally anything, and you can work on, I would probably go a little bit farther and just work on trying to center your recoil. So we can do that, and it's not too bad, I would say. And you can do this with different guns. You can do this with the gun that you prefer to use and take off those recoil controlling attachments. Or if you want to really work on horizontal recoil control, like I said, you use the RAM for left, M13 for right. If you want to work on vertical recoil, use the AMAX. All right, guys, and that is my recommendation on how to improve your recoil in Call of Duty Warzone. If you have other things that you're wanting to improve on, you're not sure how, drop a comment below and let me know, and I'll try to make a video on it explaining how you can improve on that particular thing. And if you want to ask me any questions directly, I do stream on Twitch Wednesday through Saturdays, typically late at night. Feel free to drop in, ask me a question. I love interacting with chat. We've got an awesome community we're starting to build over there. It's a really fun time. And again, guys, if you're looking to improve and know the best tips, settings, loadouts, and strategies for improving your gameplay in Call of Duty Warzone, then make sure to subscribe. And if this video helped you, I'd greatly appreciate you dropping a like, because it helped my videos a lot as a small content creator. Thanks for watching, everyone. Captain out.